What is good, you guys? Welcome back to the Hero Report. Welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Heat versus the Lakers and the Clippers game. The Heat are currently on a 3-game skid. I did not really talk about those two games, so we're going to be talking about those games. Clippers game just wrapped up, very frustrating loss to watch, but we're going to be talking about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on these losses. It's tough, but I think we'll bounce back for sure. And yeah, without further ado, drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let's get to 1,600 subs as soon as possible. You guys are the GOATs. Let's get right into it. So, starting off with the Lakers game, the Lakers game, it was very interesting. Obviously, Jimmy left after the first quarter. It was a very rough shooting start for both teams, defensive-oriented game. As soon as Jimmy Butler left the game, I tweeted, "This is the game that Bam has to show how much his offensive game has grown." And because he was in foul trouble in the first half, it was mostly Bam in foul trouble, Dedmon in foul trouble. Dwight Howard was drawing a lot of fouls. And then Yurtseven and Udonis Haslem had to play some minutes. So the first half was kind of very ticky-tack, grinded out, stop-start. It didn't really have any rhythm to it. Second half is where, people got going. Tyler, especially at the end of the first half and the second half is when he started to get going. And like I said, when I tweeted, "This is the game that Bam has to show how much his offensive game has grown," that was when Jimmy had gone out because I knew that someone had to step up. And Bam did exactly that. I tweeted after that, he is not disappointed so far because he was going at the Lakers, taking that pick and pop jump shot. The pick and roll was working for him. He was getting to the free throw line. He was doing everything out there. And I think that if he was not in foul trouble, we would have seen a lot more aggressive Bam, especially on the defensive end as well. And him and Tyler were kind of the reason we were in the game. At the end, it was kind of just, it was tough. The Lakers made a lot of mistakes, and I was very frustrated we did not win. Like, how did we manage to lose this game with the amount of mistakes the Lakers made? Missing that many free throws down the stretch is unacceptable. Duncan Robinson, we're going to be talking about Duncan Robinson. Do not worry, man. I've been defending Duncan Robinson. Y'all know Duncan Robinson, I've been defending him. I've been dying on this hill about the fact that he's going through a slump. I'll give my thoughts on Duncan Robinson very soon. Do not worry about that. But missing those free throws, unacceptable. The layup, unacceptable. All the threes that we missed, unacceptable. And at the end, Tyler, I'm not gonna blame him for the loss, but there was one possession where he shot with there was 18 seconds on the clock, and he shot with 16 seconds remaining. I get he was trying to go for the kill, as Bo said, but I would have liked him to settle down and wait until the shot clock or the game clock ran out. On the three at the end, he kind of bobbled. Not his fault. He still makes that shot 9 times out of 10, as he said. It's just a wide open shot that he missed. That's cool. But he still had 27. Lowry was very frustrating in the Lakers game at times because he was passing out of shots, and he was passing. He had a wide open 3 in overtime, and he was trying to force it to Bam and then turn the ball over a couple times. It was a frustrating game to watch. And then the last thing I do want to talk about, the Lakers game, as far as the Lakers game is concerned. Eric Spoelstra has to use his challenge. And even in the Clippers game, he did not use his challenge once, I don't think, unless I'm mistaken. I know the Clippers challenged the call, but I don't know if the Lakers did. But Eric Spoelstra is very reluctant to use challenges. I don't know why. I know he wants to probably save it for the crunch time minutes and stuff, and he doesn't want to waste a timeout or waste a challenge when he could be saving it. And that's something that the NBA has to fix. If a team wins a challenge, they shouldn't lose their challenge. They should be able to get their challenge back. So hopefully they fix that, because I think that's preventing a lot of coaches for using their challenge, because there's a lot of times where a ref gets a call wrong and coaches do not want to challenge because it's in the first quarter or second quarter and they don't want to use their challenge that early. But there were about 5 plays in the game where he could have challenged, and I guess that's why the NBA doesn't want to put that rule in, is because it makes the game very slow, because a coach can just challenge every call that they think is bad. So there has to be some sort of limit to it, but I think that's something they have to address, because there's a lot of loopholes in that rule. So yeah, and as far as the Clippers game is concerned, I tweeted today morning, the game plan should be let Paul George beat us. Now, Paul George had a very good individual game, but what I said was they have lost the games where he has gone off but has gotten zero help from his teammates. So guys like Luke Kennard and people that other people that they have, do not leave them open and let them get going. And guess what? Eric Bledsoe got going in the third quarter. Reggie Jackson especially got going in the second half. I'm pretty sure he had 0 first half points. And Zubac was a man on the he was a man on the glass, man. He kept eating us alive on the glass. Rebounding stats, I'm pretty sure we won the rebounding battle, which is tough, which is not really it's not something I expected, because it felt like they were all getting the big boards, but they shot better from the field. They shot a lot better from three. They shot better from the free throw line. They had more assists, blocks. We committed more turnovers, and we committed more fouls. So, yeah, like I said, man, if Paul George had 30 or 32 or 35, and we had limited Eric Bledsoe and Reggie Jackson to below 10, we would have won this game. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of times, especially in the first, there was one possession in the first quarter that I'm going to remember because that just stuck with me, where I think there was a screen with Paul George and Batum. And Bam and Duncan Robinson, there was some miscommunication because they didn't know whether they were switching or whether they were not switching, because Bam and Duncan Robinson both went to guard Paul George on the screen, and it was the easiest of passes to Batum in the corner. He knocked down the three. So like that, I get we want to send players at Paul George, but he can't beat us by himself, and that's what I'm saying. Eric Bledsoe having 21, Reggie Jackson having 22. These guys are guys that, Reggie Jackson is a guy who's averaging. He's doing pretty well in the regular season. He's averaging 17. But we did not hold him below 17. Eric Bledsoe's only averaging 8.8. We had probably his season high. 21 is probably his season high. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't think he's had a game above 20 this season. So yeah, I mean, he is a guy that he's only been averaging 8 points per game, and we let him score 21. Luke Kennard wasn't really, amazing, but he was all right. Zubac, like I said, man on the glass, he was very good. Zubac always is pretty good against those. I think it's because we always switch, but it was a tough game, a very frustrating game. But what I do want to talk about in this game is that in the first half, especially in the first quarter, Bam was getting the ball and he was going to work. It was just the Bam show. Like in the first quarter, 19 points. No one can do anything with him. The Clippers do not have a guy that can defend Bam, man. And it's very frustrating when in the first quarter you see the recipe. We're up by 17 because Bam is going to work. We're getting stops on the defensive end. Tyler's going to work. And after that, it just seemed like a switch flipped where, we stopped attacking the paint. We started settling for threes. A lot of threes we started settling for, man. I don't know exactly. I can probably pull it up real quick how many threes we took, but I guarantee you we took a lot of threes. We took 41 threes. That's more than they did, and we only made 9 of them. And this is what I have to say, man. When the threes are not falling, you got to find some ways inside. And it's no coincidence that when Kyle Lowry started attacking the basket in the fourth quarter, we made a run to make it a close game. Because he was the guy that kind of just made it, a close game for us. He changed the game essentially because he kept attacking the basket, penetrating, kicking it out, or penetrating and hitting a mid-range shot, or penetrating and getting an and one. Like, we stopped going to the basket. I don't know why. We've done this in the past too. It's very frustrating. Spoelstra, he said he was pleased with Max Strus. He said that Duncan Robinson will be fine. The thing about Duncan Robinson is because I do have to talk about him. A lot of the people on Twitter and everything have been going at Duncan Robinson, and it's something I can't ignore, especially as a guy who's been a staunch defender of Duncan Robinson. It's sad to see because I think he'll bounce back. It's just a matter of when, not if, because I think he will bounce back. I have faith in Duncan Robinson to regain a shooting form, but it's getting concerning because the reason why I'm not feeling the same about it as I was, a couple videos ago, I was like, he'll be fine, it's just a slump. Now I'm like, he'll be fine, but it's getting concerning. And the reason that it's getting concerning is because of the fact that it's affecting his mentality. It's becoming a mental thing. You can see it on his face. Whenever he misses a shot, whenever Duncan Robinson misses a shot, I advise anyone to watch Duncan Robinson, when he misses a shot now to, when he was on fire in the bubble, or on fire in the regular season 2 years ago, or on fire in the back end of the regular season last year. It's very, very different. It's very different. And I think Duncan Robinson is a guy, he's a personality. If you watch him on his podcast, you'll know this. He is a guy that, you can tell by looking at him. He's not the most confident person. He's not the most I don't want to say mentally tough because it takes a lot of toughness to get to where he's gotten to from all the adversities overcame from D3 to Michigan to G Leaguer to two-way contract to being a 5-year, $90 million paid player. He's not a guy who's, he doesn't lack mental toughness, but he just lacks self-belief, I think, at times, and or he just lacks confidence at times, because I think if it was Tyler, I don't think I would be as worried about Tyler, because Tyler, he just doesn't care. Like, it's just effortless. It's just unconscious. He just shoots no matter what. And it doesn't affect him mentally. It doesn't play with the psyche. Even last season, even when Tyler was having bad games, you could still, you could still sense that his confidence was never wavering. And it's different with Duncan. It's different with Duncan this year. And I hope he gets his confidence back. He has to get his confidence back, because he can't just be out there being a traffic cone, like I said yesterday on Twitter. If he's not going to make threes, he's not really doing much else for this team. His gravity is very, very good, but, even if he's not making threes, cut to the rim. How many times have we seen Duncan Robinson cut to the rim over these past couple of games? He's gotten that one layup opportunity that he's missed, and this game he drove to the rim. It resulted in a PJ Tucker layup or something like that, but it was very disjointed. But go back door sometimes. Have some back cuts. Like, expand your offensive game besides just running across the three-point line, because I think we spent a lot of time trying to get Duncan open shots, and that just messes up the shot clock. Sometimes if it's not there, it's very predictable for teams to defend now, because they know what Duncan Robinson's about. It just has to be mixed up. The offense has to be mixed up. We have to attack the basket more. That's the main thing that I have to take away from this. The Heat have to attack the basket more. I think that'll come with Jimmy Butler coming back. Hopefully he comes back against the Jazz. The Jazz, by the way, speaking of that game, it was a huge skirmish that happened against the Pacers. I don't know what happened, but because I was not watching the game, I was watching the Heat game. But apparently, Donovan Mitchell, Joe Ingles, Miles Turner, and Rudy Gobert all got ejected, if I'm not mistaken. I know Turner and Gobert got into it. Ingles came at the end. I did not see Mitchell in the video on House of Highlights or whatever, but apparently he got ejected. There might be some suspensions, we'll see. There might be some fines, we'll see. I doubt there will be any major implications, but it was a fight. It was definitely a fight, and we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully, the Jazz are missing some players against us, because we need to win desperately. Kyle Lowry, like I said, man, MVP of the game in my opinion. I thought he had a phenomenal game, especially in the fourth quarter. Until then, he was kind of cold, but just to will his back, like, that just takes a lot. And Bam had 30 and 11 too. I wish Bam, they gave the ball more to him. I just don't know how, after you see something work so well in the first quarter, you just don't go to it anymore. It doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. Especially when, no offense to Zubac or Isaiah Hartenstein, none of them can guard Bam, bro. Bam is like Bam. It should be an insult for Bam Adebayo when you see Zubac or Isaiah Hartenstein or anyone on the Clippers. That should be like disrespect. Like, no, I'm going at them like barbecue chicken. And Shaq says like these guys can't guard me. I'm going at their necks every time. And that's what Bam has to do. Bam has to demand the ball. He has to go at them. And the one time he gets the ball, it's too late, and he gets an offensive foul because the people are not delivering the ball enough to him. And they'll learn that. Off the bench, we did not have anything. Caleb Martin was leading scorer, 7 points. Strus looked all right. He provided some spacing, as I said. Vincent, tough. Gabe Vincent, we have to see what's going to go on with him, because he hasn't really provided much offense off the bench. He's a very good defender. Offensively, he lacks a lot, in my opinion. And I would not be against signing Brandon Knight from the G League. Brandon Knight plays for the Sioux Falls Skyforce. He plays for the Heat's G League team. He's been doing pretty well over there. He's a veteran. He knows how to play. He's been part of playoff teams. He's been part of bad teams. He's an NBA vet, and I think bringing some stability off the bench, when a lot of it is basically youth without Markieff and people like that. I think the only vet on the bench right now is Dwayne Dedmon. Brandon Knight would not be bad, especially he provides paint penetration. He's very good at attacking the rim. He's from Miami. He knows the Heat system. He hasn't played on the Heat, but he knows the Heat. He's a Heat fan. I would not be against getting Brandon Knight or even Marcus Garrett. Marcus Garrett is not a scorer, though. That's the only reason why I wouldn't get him. You might as well just have Gabe out there because he's a very good defender as well. But that's something to see if the Heat want to get Brandon Knight from the G League, because we really don't have a backup point guard right now if Tyler's in the starting lineup with Jimmy being out. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that, but I think that's where we're gonna end the video. We talked about the Heat game against the Lakers and the Clippers. Like I said, next game is against the Jazz. We beat the Jazz, but the Jazz are a tough team to play, man. The Jazz are not easy, and I don't know when the last time we won in Utah was, but it was a long time ago. And hopefully Jimmy's back. Because Jimmy's just so essential to this team, man. Jim VP. We got to get our guy back. Hopefully he comes back. But yeah, that's where we're going to end the video. Let me know if y'all enjoyed the video. Your thoughts on Duncan Robinson. Thoughts on Kyle Lowry, Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler's injury, the Heat game against the Clippers, the Nuggets, and this upcoming Jazz game. I'll see y'all later as always. Have a nice day. Peace.